If you actually have one system that connects and gives you visibility, and you can do the work with the context of the information all in one place, you get to close the gate on all the conversations that you're having about different things. So absolutely, there's opportunity to save on costs and expenses working with ALO, but we're also looking at ways to create more revenue for an agency because, like you said, everything's gotten more expensive and property managers work so hard. It's great to see their salaries increase. What I really am looking forward to is a property manager sitting back on a Friday afternoon and saying, hey, I just got an email from ALO that told me I just had a personal best on this metric and this metric this week. And geez, I'm feeling good. It's 4 o'clock and I have absolutely crushed it this week. And that shifts the way that they feel about their careers, because the career progression in property management, it's kind of lost its way in the last, I'd say, 10 years, because we lost a lot of good people through COVID. So what we want is to be able to increase the revenue that an agency can gain to put property managers in a better position to earn more.
Welcome back to the Property Management Podcast. I am so excited to have you here, and I'm even more excited to be sharing today's conversation with you, because we're diving into a topic that's not just timely, it's transformational, and I do not say that lightly. We're talking about growth and transformation in property management. And let's be honest, they're big words, sometimes inspiring, more often than not, terrifying. And if you're anything like me, there's been times in your business journey where growth felt like it came at a cost. Your time, your sanity, your energy. And transformation, well, that usually means change. And we all know how uncomfortable that can be. I've resisted it in the past, clinging to what felt familiar, even when it wasn't really working anymore. The systems, the habits, the clunky tech stacks, it all adds up. And before you know it, you're stuck in survival mode instead of truly growing. But what if growth didn't have to feel so heavy? What if transformation could actually feel freeing? That's exactly what we're unpacking in today's episode with the brilliant Juliette Hughes, Head of PM Advisory at ALO. Juliette has walked the walk. She's led her own agency, she knows the grind, and she's now working at the forefront of what's possible when we start to rethink how we do property management. We talk about what true transformation looks like, not just upgrading software or tweaking a few processes, but actually stepping into a whole new way of running your business. One that's less reactive and way more intentional. One that uses smart, integrated tools to free up your time and your team's capacity. One that removes the constant pressure and actually supports you in growing sustainably. We also touch on some of the real struggles that so many of us face: overwhelm, fear of change, skyrocketing tech costs, and that juggling act of trying to hold everything together. But this episode isn't just about naming the problems. It's about finding solutions and building the kind of business that supports the lifestyle, the income, and the impact you truly want to have. So if you've been feeling like something just needs to shift, but you're not sure where to start, this is the conversation for you. So get comfy, grab a cuppa, and let's dive in to this episode. Juliette, thank you so much for joining me on the Property Management Podcast. You've been here before, so welcome back. Before we dive in, can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and the amazing job that you're now doing with ALO?
Yes, thank you, Kylie. It's nice to be back. I've been working with ALO for almost 4 years now, and I've spent the last 25 odd years working in property management with agencies across Sydney. Had my own agency for a period of time that specialised in leasing and property management. And, like a lot of people in the industry, I was always looking for a better way to do the work that I loved, working with clients, trying to track the course of their investment, help them maximise their rental income. And a lot of my tenants were also landlords. So that real balance between the service that you provide and the relationships that you're building. And throughout the years, I'd used a lot of different technology And I started working with ALO around a product they had called ALO Insights, which was really about surveying your investors to find out what you were doing well, what you could improve. And after a period of time of using that software, they had developed something new that would replace other systems. So I put that in my business and very quickly realized that it was a complete game changer, not just for me, but for the staff that I had and the work that we were doing. So I started working with ALO and working with incredible businesses across the country, actually rolling this out in networks and independent offices. And now I really concentrate on working with the customers that ALO has and helping them through this journey of transformation, which really does mean different things to different people, but it's an absolute joy getting to see other people kind of turn this corner and leveraging technology to strengthen their relationships.
I mean, that is the future of running businesses, isn't it? And I know we're talking growth and transformation, but technology, without technology now, you really can't grow your businesses. You really can't transform your businesses. So I guess let's start there with, does transformation start with technology, or does it start with us personally, when our personal transformation in embracing technology?
Yeah, it's such a good question, right? Because change can be difficult, and technology, for all its hype, sometimes falls short. We plug one thing in to solve a problem and then we get four other problems. So you've really got to take a step back and say, what am I actually, or what are we as a business actually trying to achieve? Because something that's shiny and new doesn't necessarily bring you closer to your customers or help you do a better job. So ALO's approach is really simple in that what we want to do is build a platform that helps property managers do a great job, reduce their stress, charge higher fees. We don't want this industry to kind of get swept down in this kind of sinkhole of, other people coming in and taking over. We've got a lot of challenges. Legislation's becoming harder to monitor. Compliance is a thing. We've got to make sure we're doing everything by the book. That's important so that everyone's on the same page. But to do that, we're kind of in this tension point. Do you just hire more staff to tick the boxes, or do we really rethink how we get the great job done? So, ALO's approach to this is, what if we built a platform that can power technology to do the things that need to be done, to do some of that thinking for us, to take away some of the risk and give people what they want, which essentially is they want transparency. They get it everywhere else. They should get it with their investment property. They want to take their money faster. They want choice. Do I want my money now? Do I want it next week? Do I want to pay a bill with a credit card? Do I want to pay it out of my offset account? Do I want the rent to pay for everything like it always traditionally has? We want to give people choice. And by leveraging technology to increase or support a better service and really customize that service so that everyone gets what they want without us having to split ourselves in eight, it does put us in a position where we change the game and we want to be able to give everyone what they want whilst still using that personal approach, right? Because every management is different. Every renter or every investor has a different set of requirements about what good service is to them. So we want to be able to empower property managers and business owners and team leaders to help everyone do a better job, but give them access to the quality information and data to help them make the right decisions. Not easy.
No, it's definitely, it's not easy. Yeah. And there's so many things I want to unpack there. You've hit so many great, and every time you were saying a new point, I was like, oh, I need to dive into that. And then anyway, now I've forgotten exactly which point I want to dive into, but I guess I'll start with ALO as a platform. It's actually is a platform that's been built by property managers for property managers. It's not the other way around. It's not a tech company that's built something that they think is a solution. It's actually, and you guys have evolved. In fact, you guys have transformed as you've seen the needs and the industry changing. You've adapted your technology to suit those needs along the way. And as a result, you're now able to help business owners and property managers transform the way that not only they do business, but also the service that you can give to to their customers or their clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had big aspirations. ALO, in the very beginning, which was years ago now, we have two co-founders, one with an incredible background in payments and one with an incredible background in real estate and property management. So when you combine the two, it actually unlocks a whole ecosystem that frees up our industry to get to the heart of what they do, which really is relationships. So it has changed, not because we weren't looking at the big picture initially, just because, it's part by part. As you're growing one part of this platform, another part develops. And, our industry's been through some shifts. We all used to sit on servers, and then cloud was the big thing. And unfortunately, for me personally, I can say that transition to cloud meant that I was on 24/7. It took everything from the office and put it accessible day and night at home or in the office. And on my mobile phone, it didn't really power me up to offer a better service. There's been some really good technology in digital signing, and ALO's created all of that, of course, in our system and in inspections and 360 cameras and all of that work that ALO's, of course, offering. But we want to go that step further. We want to actually put a tool into people's hands. And what's incredible about the work that I'm doing with ALO is hearing back from property managers and businesses, which is, I would never go back, because the way we now work is so different. And I couldn't have imagined it. It's one thing for a business to hear ALO's going to do this for you, and it's going to change the way, arrears aren't a thing, end of month's not a thing. Your property managers are less stressed. They're not waking up in the middle of the night and writing notes next to their bed. They actually have a weekend. All the things that you hear about ALO, hearing it back from a business that says, it's been 6 months and we didn't even realize how end of month was a thing. Now we don't have to do it. They move into this new ecosystem of communicating differently with people and working cohesively in their own teams, which is pretty phenomenal too.
And I think, well, that's a really good point you touch on there with platforms like ALO and the way that you have developed it and grown it to meet the needs of the industry. It does free up property managers and business owners' time to be able to do those important things like reach out to clients or to grow their business. They're not stuck doing, spending 4 hours every fortnight doing their end of month, or they're not spending each morning 2 hours receipting rent and then chasing up payments that haven't landed, or they're actually able to have that time. And if they use it smartly and wisely, they can put that into that time investment into growth of their business.
Yeah, and of course, growth is different for every different business, right? Some, when they come across to ALO, they're really fixated on what I want to do is get this very well-oiled machine running, and then I'm going to hire BDMs and we're going to run this campaign talking about how we offer a different level of service and how we can go into a listing and we can say, we know how long it takes to respond because we have a system that gives you everything that you want and actually allows us to track and monitor that on average we respond to our investors within 2 hours. And the state average is, 36 hours or 3 days. It's pretty incredible the power that gives someone when they're standing in front of an investor that says, it doesn't matter how often you want your money, you get it. You can dictate the terms. It doesn't matter how you want to pay your bill, you can decide how you pay your bill. And our team on the other side of this is working to a very succinct program of getting things done so that everyone's on the same page and we don't drop the ball, because we have a system that actually is purpose-built for helping everyone get what they want. And it's interesting because whilst technology is going to give you a unique point of difference when you're standing in front of an investor, some of it's very obvious. The other parts that are incredible to hear back from people using ALO is, we genuinely thought that we had flushed out all multi-owners in our rent roll. Like hand on heart, I would have said we had every single management that was possible within our business. No one was hedging their bets with a management across the road at another agency. And very quickly they realize, investors say, actually, I've got another property that I have managed with so-and-so down the road. I'm going to bring it over here because I like the visibility. It's simple. It actually solves problems that kind of were niggling away at me, but now I can open up the app and I can see my inspections. I can move money around. I can chat to you in a way that makes sense, and I'm not having to read these big long emails on a Sunday afternoon because I could just reply quickly. It's incredible watching that organic growth happen. Actually, the other part of this, which I find really interesting, is as businesses come on, once they go through this transition of moving across to ALO and they start to realize the extra capacity they have, both just in hours per week, but also mindset, like, oh, we could actually, the team's running well, we're saving costs because of the way that we're using one system that does everything and does it well. It's been thought through. We could actually go out and acquire another business as well. We didn't even think about that as a strategy, but we actually have the infrastructure to do that and do it well. So we're seeing a real combination of organic growth without a huge amount of effort, whereas it used to be, and acquisitions, and having that structure to actually do it is really exciting too. And don't forget, any business that's with ALO gets a range of additional support that I got to say I've never seen in the industry. They have, entire marketing tools they can use, 12-week social media campaigns they can just run, talking about how investors with their agency get more. They have more, control, more transparency, all of the things. They actually can come to events where we interview other people on the platform that are winning business. They talk about what's working, what's not working, what they're using. And, ALO is about bringing together like-minded industry professionals to share how they're winning in the industry and using the platform. But it's really about maximizing what everyone's doing so that there's a benefit for everybody.
And that's what I came in to your Sydney office and had a demo of the product. And I really understood what you were saying about it being a tool to help you grow your business. The metrics that you track is phenomenal. The transparency, I think that's, a huge thing for investors now. A lot of property managers are using a lot of technology, a lot of software, but a lot of them don't give the same transparency that you guys have consciously built into the ALO platform. So, and I think, you are seeing a lot of businesses that you are working with that are actually able to sell that we're using ALO as their growth strategy. Are you feeling overwhelmed and thinking about selling your rent roll? Don't worry, you're not alone, and HDNU is here to help. Whether you're ready to sell now or you just want to plan for the future, the friendly and approachable team at HDNU makes the process simple and stress-free. Hello, yes please. With over 30 years of expertise, they're not just about crunching the numbers. They genuinely care about helping you maximize your agency's value and get the best outcome for you. Their sales readiness bundle is like having a trusted advisor by your side. They'll work closely with you to assess your agency's key factors, create an easy to understand heat map of your strengths and opportunities, and then sit down with you for a 90-minute workshop to guide you on what to do next. They'll look at everything from rent roll earnings and rent arrears to compliance and team performance and explain it all in plain English. If you're planning to sell soon, HDNU can even handle the whole process for you, from finding qualified buyers to negotiating the deal. Their friendly, professional team takes the stress out of selling so you can feel confident every step of the way. And to get started, simply book in a meeting with the team today. Their link is in the show notes. They're here to help you move forward with confidence. Let's be real. Compliance is one of the biggest challenges in property management, and it can be overwhelming to navigate. It's time-consuming, stressful, and let's face it, one missed compliance check could lead to serious legal and financial risks, and no one wants that. That's where Sensor Insure comes in. Powered by smart sensor technology, it offers highly competitive building and landlord insurance, bundled with an ecosystem of smart safety devices. These include tamper-proof smoke alarms and water leak detectors with automated remote testing and a 24/7 accessible audit trail. Yes, you heard me right. Sensor Ensure is a game changer. It's always on and integrates seamlessly with your trust platform to streamline processes and provides live reporting across your entire rental portfolio. This ensures you're always meeting compliance requirements, giving you total peace of mind. No more waking up in the middle of the night stressed or worried that you've missed something or your team has missed something. So whether you're looking to improve your processes and efficiency, reduce stress, or protect your agency from risk, Sensor Ensure has you covered. You really should see how it works. I totally encourage you to book in a free demo today by heading to sensorglobal.com or the show notes to learn more about their solutions and how they can transform your compliance game.
Yeah, absolutely. So much so that we've created an entire part of our platform dedicated to growth. There was a need for it. They wanted to have everything in one system because, they're doing their inspections, they're doing all of their other work inside of ALO. What they wanted, and we built, was a funnel for these leads, because if you don't convert them the first go, you want to be able to follow them up. You want to put them on a nurture campaign, and we don't want it in another system. We want to have it in ALO so you can keep track of it. So we have a pipeline for BDMs where it takes it from, acknowledging that there's an opportunity, moving them through, doing the presentation. We have custom listing kits inside of ALO. They can pull rich data out on the spot, which is not just how quickly we respond to our landlords or our investors and renters. It looks at what's the average rent increase across our business right now. What is our arrears? And I've got to say, this is one of the best parts about ALO is they don't have arrears. Most of them are sitting under 1%, which sounds incredible, but I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing it without the effort. Businesses are coming on with, 4-5% arrears. After 2 or 3 months, it's at less than 1%, and they're not doing any of that work anymore. The system is doing it for them, which is pretty powerful. It's also tracking how many work orders they're moving through and how much work they're getting done that's needed to protect the interest of their investors and their renters. It's actually working through the real data that matters when you're sitting in front of an investor to talk about the service, so that we're not all saying the same thing with the same sort of proposal in front of them. We really want people to be able to stand out from the crowd and leverage the good work that we're doing. You will now have the proof to sit in front of someone and say, we're not just great because we say we're great. Here's the evidence.
That's absolutely amazing. And one of the things I find with a lot of the businesses that I work with, everybody wants growth, right? It's the big thing that when I ask, what's your problem? What are you experiencing right now? What transformation would you like? It's always growth. But the reality is growth, and you can create growth, but if you're not running your business properly and your property managers are not either overwhelmed, overworked, not following processes and systems correctly, the reality is you're losing as many managements often as you're bringing into the business. But that is not the case with your ALO clients, is it?
That's so correct. That this struggle that the industry has is, what natural attrition, people are selling, people are moving in. You've got to be growing double just to have a slight growth. And what we've seen is businesses that are coming in, that's shifted significantly, not only in raw numbers of how they're growing their managements, but also the average management fees increasing, which is pretty phenomenal. We've had some BDMs that have said, we actually are getting them signed up on the spot. They're cancelling the other appointment with another agency. They're signing up on the spot, full fees. They don't even talk about negotiating because the value proposition is clear to them. We don't have to do a hard sell. It's just we offer a superior service and, we stand by what we say. Here's the evidence. It's pretty incredible watching those numbers creep up. A lot of what ALO wants to do is obviously create the platform for all this great work, but give you the insight. So we even track some customers that we're working with. We're tracking things like, how long does it take for a new management to start producing revenue? Because that's also key. You want to make sure that they're hitting those numbers faster than ever before. You also want to be able to say, well, an average management should have 11 fees. Before ALO, they were coming into legacy systems and putting 4 of them in, and we're missing out on revenue, not because we're not doing the work, but we aren't set up to charge properly because the systems were built 20 years ago and the way that we have charged fees has changed significantly in 2 decades. So when you think about all the ways that ALO is looking at this problem, it's pretty compelling the way it solves it. And, growth is one of those parts of a rent roll that we've become accustomed to its struggle. It's exciting to see that really shift and turn a corner.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely on track to solve that unicorn problem where we want one platform for everything. So one of the other things that you touched on earlier that I thought was was amazing feature as well is that and I'll just say the thing that I found as a business owner last year was the cost of all of these different platforms was starting to add up, and obviously our profits are getting smaller. We're paying property managers a lot more money, which they deserve. I'm not disputing that at all. But we're not increasing our fees at the same rate as at the same rate that property managers' incomes are going. And then, of course, you've got all your tech stack on top of that, the fees on top of that. But with ALO, I noticed that you have, the inspection element to it now, where you can do the 360 camera inspections through your platform, where you can manage your maintenance, you can manage all these other things without having to have all the add-ons with the other tech stacks.
Yeah, and I think as an industry, we kind of got to a point where you had all these tiny micro pieces of technology that were doing little bits here and there, but none of them spoke to each other. And that's what we're trying to solve. If you actually have one system that connects and gives you visibility and you can do the work with the context of the information all in one place, you get to close the gate on all the conversations that you're having about different things. So absolutely, there's opportunity to save on costs and expenses working with ALO, but we're also looking at ways to create more revenue for an agency because, like you said, everything's gotten more expensive and property managers work so hard. It's great to see their salaries increase. What I really am looking forward to is a property manager sitting back on a Friday afternoon and saying, hey, I just got an email from ALO that told me I just had a personal best on this metric and this metric this week. And geez, I'm feeling good. It's 4 o'clock and I have absolutely crushed it this week. And that shifts the way that they feel about their careers because the career progression in property management, it's kind of lost its way in the last, I'd say, 10 years because we lost a lot of good people through COVID. So what we want is to be able to increase the revenue that an agency can gain to put property managers in a better position to earn more. And the way that we're doing that is across a couple of different things. We want to partner with businesses so that they can look at, okay, in my marketplace, let's just say 30% of this suburb is investment property. So at the moment, our property managers have possibly 30% if we were 100% of the market, which we never are because competition's healthy. What if we looked at all of those owner-occupiers in their homes that are busy at work or they're traveling, they're doing all of the things getting on with their lives. Some of them are already clients, some of them we don't know. Maybe the sales team are trying to create a relationship with them. What if we offered them some of the same services that we give our landlords in maintenance? What if we said to them, hey, you can drop the keys off to our office. Next time your dishwasher's making a rattling sound, you let us know, we'll organize it. You can pay the bills through the system and get back to living your life. What it means is you're developing those relationships and it opens up your marketplace, that you can actually look at the relationships outside of the confines of investment properties and start to build a different business.
That's great.
And that's kind of, yeah, it's giving you some insight into the way that ALO is looking at solving this problem. Trust accounting and the way that we've had to manage money in that way has really changed. In ALO, you can do both. You can have money running through ALO, of course, you can be taking funds through your trust account. What we want to do is give an agency choice in how they manage it. And that will have an impact on how they operate, financially with paying someone to sit there and do the trust account receipting. But what we want to do is give you choice. You can run any type of business by leveraging ALO and look at new markets to increase your revenue to really reward those property managers that we know have been working hard for a long time.
That's amazing. I love that you're thinking outside, constantly thinking outside the square. There is, and I guess, for businesses, essentially ALO is a platform for them to be able to transform their business. And you've experienced that already. And I have been to some of your events and I have seen and heard some of the businesses, and some of my clients, my social media clients, are your clients as well. And yeah, the transformation is real. It's not just marketing.
That's so true. We have been holding these events at Mecca, which are really exciting, where people can come together in a really lovely space and hear from other agencies and, really progressive, forward-thinking property managers that have come to this looking for a better way to do their work. And what I love hearing is how open they are to sharing their experiences. And some of them will even sit there and say, I was really reluctant. I didn't want to change. I wasn't open to it. And then slowly I started looking at, I could use that. That would save this, or I could do that, and that would actually help. And then when they kind of move through that, they realize, I'll never go back. This has been a breath of fresh air in the way that we do our work and the way we work together as a team. Those events are fantastic. It's nice to hear that you enjoyed them too.
I did, absolutely. And now, if anyone listening is a PM Accelerate member, Juliette and I are going to do a separate recording where we're going to put a demo of ALO inside the membership. So if you're a PM Accelerate member, jump on into the membership and the recording will be in there for you to have a look. Of course, anyone else, you can definitely reach out to Juliette and the team at ALO. What is the best place for someone to get in contact with you?
Jump onto our website, alo.io, and you can actually request a demo straight through our website. You can look at a lot of different content, hear from other people in the industry talking about how they experienced it, where they're finding value, and then you can have a chat with our sales team.
Amazing. And before I let you go, one of the things that I finish a podcast episode with is personal development. We have talked about growth and transformation today. So what is a tool, resource, book or podcast that you could recommend to our audience?
What I would say to anyone that's listening is, when we look at technology, it's quite easy to kind of put it in a box. And I think with the dawn of AI, being open to how can I push this technology around to help me be the best professional that I can be. I think it's really important that we acknowledge it has its place, but there's more than one way to get the most out of technology. So I would say be open to how you can leverage a tool to reconnect with people.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think it is definitely the dawning of a new era, and businesses are changing, and the way we do business is changing faster than it ever has before in history. So it is time to embrace new ways of doing things. So that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Juliette, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I have loved having a chat with you.
Thanks, Carly. It was great to see you.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.